And then to make matters worse, the tournament is running behind so much that I can't pull left-handed. I got to get back to the airport.
I'm perfectly fine. I'm totally fine. I'm arm wrestling. I'm not crying in the corner, looking for forgiveness. I'm okay. It's just been a busy week.
I was 2 days away from doing a welfare check on you with the police in Jacksonville, Florida, just to let you know.
I appreciate it. That bidding was okay. Like at this point in my life, I understand that I think I'm the strongest camera guy out there. There's no doubt about it, right? As far as the camera guy.
No doubt about it. And the most important thing about that sentence is the last 2 words.
Exactly. But I mean, the strongest kind of matter too. So with that being said, I'm okay with losing. I'm okay with losing nowadays. I don't have to. But I was just telling Brian LaFleur from earlier, I remember first time going out of state, going to Georgia with Brandon. That's the time that Brandon came out. It was Georgia summer heat. And 2013, 2014, that's where like Justin Bishop's coming out and all that, right? He's out there determined, just beating Ray Hendricks. And that's the guy that eventually got to be in Game of Arms or whatever, right? I cut weight. I lost to Max. I beat Max. So the only person I beat, person from Florida. Then I took an ass whooping and I drove home, not saying a word to Brandon. And Brandon understood that too. It was my first time out of state. It was quiet 5-hour ride home. So with that being said, what have you ever experienced that like first upsets for you that you maybe could not really cope with right away? Like what was that for you, like the first time, like, oh,
that 1990, I say 1999, maybe right in that part, 98, 99, I was a 215-pound athlete, and I had already been in the middle of losing a bunch of weight, and I decided to try to make the 198-pound class at the Kentucky State Championships. And I had to fly from Washington, D.C. I flew to Atlanta, Georgia. I rested there for about 4 hours on this layover. Then I flew into Louisville, Kentucky, immediately rented a car, drove to the Kentucky State Fair, had to lose another 3 or 4 pounds right there in that Kentucky heat in the middle of the summer. I think they gave me 2 pounds, but I got in the weight class. And my first match is against Matt Harris, and he bleeds me out. Ultimately, I foul out, which he was going to win anyway. It was just a matter of time. The very next match, I lose to, why am I not thinking of his name right now? I'm looking at his face right now. Good arm wrestler from Ohio. Oh man, why can I not think of his name?
Well, you can think of the name. You can think of the name. Yeah.
Then that guy ends up beating Matt Harris, but in that, I ended up, trying to pull in the 98 to 220s and the supers, left and right-handed. I remember the ticket, I was probably $500 in the trip. And if I won all the weight classes, I could win, I think $900, $150 per weight class, I think. So I went down there, I'm $500 in with this rent a car and this airline. And I get to the tournament, I'm $100 entry fee in. And I pull the first match in the 98s and I'm tied up. I end up getting 3rd, 4th place in the 2 higher classes, 3rd place in the 98s. And then to make matters worse, the tournament is running behind so much that I can't pull left-handed. I got to get back to the airport to catch this 7, 8 o'clock flight. So now I'm 11 o'clock at night back in Atlanta before I'm getting ready to get on this last hike to get back home at 1 a.m. And I just remember calling Casey on the phone, and she was just my girlfriend then. And I'm like, man, fuck this arm wrestling shit, man. I'm done. Like, I was so disgusted that I lost all that money and did so terribly. But you know, that's the way life is.
Why was that like? Why was that the whole money thing important to you? Like, what was the money situation
It
for
was
Travis
important,
Bagent was like back in the day?
important because I had $1,500 to my name then, so spending 500 to get back to 500 was doable. But just losing all of it was just terrible. It was terrible.
Right. Did that make you more motivated? Because I was reading, actually listening to Mike Tyson's thing today too. Like when you have no money and that winning is the only money that you can possibly, it's like the only skill you might have. Like, yo, I'm really good at this, so I better go beat those people, and because that's gonna depend on my living. So that
Oh,
would
I fixed that up. I mean, I would be way too embarrassed to truthfully bring you into my life when it comes to how many times that I had to win. Literally, if I did not win and get that money, that I had to move out of my house, or I had a real problem, a real problem. So yeah, that sucks. I mean, including that Jerry Cataret match. I'm telling you right now, I needed that 5Gs terribly.
right. And well,
I
let's
remember too. I remember like I was down, right? Down, right? So my wife calls like 2 hours after I was already supposed to call her, right? So she already, I guess, was ready to be the meanest person in the whole world, right? And back then, I was not losing very often. So, and you know what's ignorant too about not losing is you start having to win to pay for dumb shit, right? Like,
right.
it's one thing if I'm on this mission to put food and clothing and roof over my kid's head, which I have 100% done, right? 100%. But it's a whole nother thing to lose money that you was gonna get a bigger beach house with, right? Lose
Right.
money that you told your kid he could have, you know, that Volvo instead of the Ford Escort, right? Like, so I called, you know, I answered the phone. I'm like, hey, what's up? She's like, what are you doing? Because I was supposed to spend the night again in Connecticut after that match. And I said, I'm on my way home. I'm like, you know, it's like a 6-hour drive. I'm 2 hours into it. I'll be home tonight. And she said, okay, because we got to take care of whatever we was going to take care of, right? The next day. And I said, well, it's going to be a little problem there. Yeah, we ain't got that money. She's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, listen, babe, I went to Connecticut. I got beat up. Like my entire fucking body hurts. My whole body hurts. Like that was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. I'm arm wrestling this guy for 40 seconds with his elbow in the middle of the table. Like it was a very tough loss. But yes, indeed, I have lost. Your husband is struggling right now internally, right? My whole life is crushed. I know we needed the money. So yeah, and she says, you gotta be fucking kidding me. That is the weakest shit I ever fucking heard in my life. You must fucking be joking. And I'm like, hey, I just hang the phone up. Just hang the phone.
What happened next?
Brutal. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing that I accomplished in my life. I had a few friends and family that for a long time there, they thought that I was absolutely indestructible.